what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy the LSU spring football scrimmage on Saturday. Before we get into kind of the overall top performers, Taylor, any big scrimmage takeaways from Saturday?
PJ Woodland continues to just a meteoric rise at corner. I mean, it really looks like him and Ashton Stamps are kind of separating themselves in this cornerback room. And, you know, JV and Toviano coming into the spring, you're like, hey, he might be your most talented guy. He's kind of that rotational piece now, your number 3 at the cornerback spot because of how good Woodland's looked. And he's a guy that came in at only about 165, 170 pounds, so he's still got room to grow. So by fall time, I mean, if he keeps this up, he's going to be a heck of a player.
Yeah, we talked about Woodland on Friday, Jake, and to me, I kind of love his story. 3-star, kind of under-recruited, enrolled early, but I feel like I've met that archetype at defensive back before. In fact, I feel like I met him a couple of times. Or maybe not even just defensive back. Look at somebody like Malik Neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who just has that kind of FU drive where, okay, you know, I mean, look, I'm out of kind of in here under the radar, but I don't give a damn. I'm out here to fight. I'm out here to scrap, go make plays. You might get me one, but you ain't going to keep me down. And it seems like Woodland has kind of used that tenacity here early on to start to make a name for himself.
And you need somebody too. You need somebody in that room. I think you need all the bodies that you can count on in that room, and then you figure out which ones can actually play. And the good thing about when you have a new staff coming in is it kind of hits reset on everybody. So the players that have established themselves, they have to come and prepare for the offseason in a different way, and I think in a good way, because you know, hey, my job's not safe. I'm not going to rest on what I did a year ago. I've got to come in and act like I'm competing for a job because I kind of am, right? And then the new guys, it's like, hey, we're new here too. We came in together. If you're the best player, I don't care that you're young. You're going to play. Mm-hmm. And so for LSU's defense, because this doesn't happen very often, even if you get a new defensive coordinator sometimes, that's it. But you got new coaches on every single level.
Every level.
Even if they've been here before, they don't know these players for the most part. Right? I mean, Greg Penn, like, sure, he was here with Blake Baker, but there's not a lot of guys that were here the last time Blake Baker or Corey Raymond were here.
I mean, you probably spent damn near $6 million. I mean, probably even more when you get to buyouts in terms of probably pushing like $8 million in terms of making over the staff. So, yes, you heavily invested in kind of resetting, wiping the slate clean on that side of the ball.
Yeah, so when you do that, now everybody is going to have the opportunity because, again, like there's very few players that were here the last time that these coaches were there, and so they're starting over. And so they have no predetermined, hey, this guy, well, he's kind of been the starter for 2 years. We're probably going to give him the most opportunity, and as long as he's not terrible, like we'll roll him out. No, there's none of that. And that's not Blake Baker's personality anyways. Like if you know Blake. But I think for this defense, how bad they were a year ago, and you still have some talent, it was more scheme than talent in a lot of our opinions. Okay, well, now you all get to go out there at the same time.
It's like whatever talent you had, you were dragging down pretty consistently
you were putting
across
in
the
bad
board.
situations.
Yes. Flipping to the other side of the ball, it seems like, guys, if the hype is to be believed, that we may be looking at the emergence of the next great LSU wide receiver in Kyren Lacy. And, of course, when you talk about LSU wide receivers, you're talking about a legacy that is quickly becoming unparalleled. Maybe only Ohio State even in the conversation. Alabama would have had something to say, but the last couple of years, I feel like that's kind of hurt them in that regard.
Yeah.
But Kyren Lacy is apparently dominating spring ball. And I thought it was interesting to hear Kelly talk about the fact that, like, he's really seen a shift since he basically became wide receiver 1. So that maybe when he was the 3 at times last year, he could get a little complacent, maybe not focus in as much, but through watching Malik, watching BTJ, how they approach the game, that he seems to have kind of grown and matured in those same ways. And Kyren, I mean, he's always had the physical size.
Yeah.
It's just been a bit of consistency issue. If he can consistently catch the ball, he could be a top 5 guy in the entire country.
And I'm right there with you. And I don't think that's pumping sunshine. That's just seeing a guy that has had moments for sure in his LSU career where he's been really good. I look at the Alabama game. I look at the Texas A&M game this year. Big moments too. Not like when the game is out of hand, like big moments when you're still in the game or you're trying to go win the game, and he's had those. But we've seen drops. Like there's no denying that. Like everybody knows that. You've seen some inconsistency as far as catching the football. That's the one thing that if he changed, he had the ability, and he's shown playmaking ability to be a true receiver one at a place like LSU. And so for Brian Kelly to point out some of the things that, focusing and doing the little things right, like you can tell, like they've noticed it as well. They were just waiting for that to take over. And sometimes it just, for whatever reason, it doesn't happen until you're the guy. Now, sometimes when you become the guy, you can go the complete opposite way. And it's too much pressure for you.
Yeah, that is true. Sometimes too much pressure. I think also sometimes if you kind of become the guy too early, or you become the guy like late in the season, then you kind of lose your way almost. I mean, Kayshawn would be the most recent example of this, where he becomes the guy, and then it seems like he kind of, I guess he had an okay start to the next year. That's probably not completely fair, but whatever. Yes, like Lacy's path is interesting in that it is one where you could kind of see the potential, but the door, he's not already crowned, right? But the opportunity was laid in front of him, and it looks like he's making the most of that opportunity.
I mean, you look at what he did a year ago: 30 catches, 558 yards.
Very productive.
Led the team for those who qualified with 18.6 yards per catch. So Neighbors was 17.6, Brian Thomas 17.3, more catches obviously, but still 18.6 for Lacy. He had 7 touchdowns as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, again, like Brian Thomas led the country with 17 and Neighbors had 14, but he had 7 touchdowns. And the next closest on the team, there's a big drop, was Hilton with 2.
Mm-hmm.
So there was things he did last year to make you believe that he truly can be that one, but the consistency question is still going to be there until you line up against USC. It's great to see him improving. It's great to see him take over practices. It's even better to hear the head coach talk about all the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, when the lights come on, you've made plenty of plays before. Can you do it consistently? Because when it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 in Vegas, they're coming to you. They're not going to Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. They're not there anymore. They're coming to you.
No, the game plan will be built around highlighting you and trying to find mismatches for you. And you're not going to have Jaden Daniels' legs to rely on. So in some other ways, you're even more important than you've ever been. So Kyren Lacy, I love seeing him take advantage of that opportunity early on in the spring portion, and let's see if he can now fulfill it when it matters coming into fall. Wow, Jake. What incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.